Hit subscribe. Let's dive in. The text came at 2:47 p.m. on a Friday while I was reviewing the seating chart for the Boston Children's Hospital Foundation Gala. 700 guests, 42 corporate sponsors, 2 governors, 3 senators, the lieutenant governor, all confirmed. My phone buzzed. Don't come to the gala tomorrow night. The governor's chief of staff is attending. We need to make the right impression. Your sister knows how to work a room. You just make it awkward. I stared at it for 3 seconds. Then I replied, understood. I set the phone down and went back to the seating chart. Governor Chen at table 1 with hospital leadership. His chief of staff, Rebecca Martinez, at table 3 with major donors. My parents at table 12, my sister Natalie and her fiancé at table 11. My name wasn't on any table because I had designed all of them. They just didn't know that yet. They didn't know I was the executive director of the Boston Children's Hospital Foundation. In their minds, I worked in fundraising, small stuff, thank you letters, donor calls, the kind of job you take when you can't do anything better. 4 years ago, when I left a corporate law firm after Yale Law and a federal clerkship, my father had looked at me like I was throwing my life away. Non-profit work, he'd said flatly. So you're giving up? My mother softened it. Maybe she's finding herself. My sister Natalie had smiled into her wine glass. At least one of us is building real wealth, and that had been the tone ever since. Dinner conversations about Natalie's real estate deals. Introductions where she was praised as brilliant in development and I was just Caroline. And Boston, doing something with kids. So when my father's text arrived that Friday, it didn't surprise me. It just confirmed the hierarchy I'd been living inside for years. I wasn't impressive enough to be seen. On Saturday, I arrived at the Intercontinental Boston 15 minutes before doors opened. The ballroom was already glowing. Gold light, orchids, polished glass, a stage with our foundation's logo. I walked the floor with Michelle, our event coordinator. Everything was tight, clean, perfect. The kind of night that turns money into medicine. My name sat in the program. Caroline J. Westfield, Executive Director, Boston Children's Hospital Foundation. I wondered if my parents would even read that page. At 6:45, guests started arriving. I stood near the entrance in a navy gown, shaking hands, thanking donors, smiling through introductions. A camera crew set up near the step and repeat. At 7:03, I saw them. My father in a tuxedo, my mother in champagne silk, Natalie in emerald green beside her fiancé, Trevor. They looked like they belonged at exactly this kind of event. They checked in, collected programs, and moved toward the ballroom. My father's eyes passed over me, without stopping, no recognition. My mother glanced in my direction and looked away. I wasn't their daughter here. I was staff. I let them go inside. Your parents? Michelle asked softly beside me. Yes. She didn't say anything else. At 7:22, Rebecca Martinez arrived. She saw me before I saw her and immediately broke into a grin, crossing the lobby like she owned the air. Caroline. She hugged me hard enough to turn heads. I didn't know you'd be here, she said. I run this. She pulled back, studying me. Wait, you're the executive director? Yes. Oh my God, she laughed. Of course you are. I should have known. She squeezed my hand. I'm sitting with the governor. You're coming to say hi before this starts. Then she was gone, and I stood there for a moment longer than I should have, because that was the first time that night someone had looked at me and seen exactly what I was. At 7:45, I walked into the ballroom, 700 people, glasses clinking, programs opening, conversations rising. I stopped at table 1, Governor Chen stood immediately when I approached. He recognized me from policy meetings. "Miss Westfield," he said warmly. "Impressive work on CHIP testimony." "Thank you." Governor, Rebecca leaned in, smiling. I told him we survived constitutional law together. "Barely," I said. The governor's wife smiled. "It's wonderful to see women leading in this space." Then I moved through the room and finally reached table 12. My parents were there. My father was mid-conversation. My mother was reading the program. Natalie was adjusting her ring. I stopped. "Good evening," I said politely. "I'm Caroline Westfield, Executive Director of the Foundation. If you need anything tonight, please let us know." Silence. My father looked up. Still no recognition. Then confusion. "Caroline," he said slowly. "Yes, Dad." His eyes dropped to the program in his hands. "You're the Executive Director?" "Yes." Natalie froze at the next table. "I didn't know," my father said. "I know," I replied. "You never asked." The table went still. My mother's face tightened. "How long have you been—" "For years." Something broke in her expression. I smiled the same smile I use for donors who didn't want to hear the truth. "Enjoy your evening." And I walked away. I didn't look back. Later, backstage, I ate alone with Michelle and Peter. We checked timing, reviewed the program. Everything's was on track. At 8:35, the video played. Children in treatment, parents in waiting rooms, doctors holding hope together with exhaustion. Then the Lieutenant Governor took the stage. "I want to tell you about someone," she said. My name wasn't supposed to be part of her speech, but it was. She described a policy meeting, a technical funding gap, a phone call. Caroline Westfield spent 2 hours walking me through it. She said, not for credit, not for recognition, because it mattered. My chest tightened backstage. That legislation passed. She continued, "It will bring $18 million into pediatric care." Then she turned slightly. "Caroline, would you join me?" Applause exploded. I didn't move at first. Michelle touched my arm. "Go." So I went. The lights were too bright, the room too large. 700 people clapping, like I had just become visible all at once. The Lieutenant Governor took my hand. "This is the kind of leadership we need," she said. "Quiet, effective, unseen until it matters most." She hugged me briefly, then stepped away, and I walked off stage, shaking. When I returned to speak later, the room had shifted. I looked at table 1, the governor watching, table 12, my parents watching, and I began. 4 years ago, I left corporate law. People said I was giving up, that I was wasting my potential. I paused, but I didn't see it that way. My voice stayed steady. I saw work that saves lives, work that turns policy into protection. I glanced at my parents. This is not a flashy job, but it is real. Then I made the ask. Tonight, we will raise $3.2 million for pediatric cancer care. The room erupted. By the end of the night, it was $3.4 million. Afterwards, Rebecca found me. "You killed it," she said. "Table 12 looks like they've seen a ghost." "Good," I said. But the night didn't end there. At the dessert station, I finally stood in front of my family again. "I don't know what to say," my father admitted. "You don't have to say anything," I replied. My mother's voice shook. "Why didn't you tell us?" "I did," I said quietly. 4 years ago." Silence. Natalie stepped forward. "You were right," she said finally. "We didn't know." "No," I said. "You didn't ask." That night, I left. Alone. A text came later from my father. "We're proud of you. We should have said it sooner." I stared at it, then turned my phone face down. Not because I didn't feel it, but because it didn't erase anything either. 2 weeks later, I was in a state house meeting with the governor and Rebecca. My early childhood education proposal was approved for review. You just changed a $47 million initiative, Rebecca said outside. We'll see, I replied. You're impossible. That weekend, Natalie came to my office. No designer clothes, no armor, just her. I owe you an apology, she said, and she meant it. She admitted everything. The dismissals, the comparisons, the years of shrinking me without realizing what she was doing. Then she asked, "Why now?" "Because I saw you at the gala," she said, "and I realized I never looked at you clearly." "You didn't," I said. And for the first time, she didn't argue. "I don't forgive you," I told her. She nodded. "I understand, and I might one day," I added. "But not today." Weeks later, I had lunch with my parents. This time, I asked for something simple. "Learn my work," I said. "Don't just react to it. Understand it." They tried. Slowly, carefully. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't instant, but it was real effort. Months later, the education bill passed. My parents attended the press conference. Afterwards, my mother touched my arm. "We're learning," she said. And for the first time, I believed they might be. That night, I sat with my team over champagne. To Caroline, Rebecca said, "Who does the work no one sees?" I shook my head. To the team, I corrected, "Who makes it possible?" And later, driving home, I understood something clearly. The door to my life wasn't locked anymore, but I still held the key, and I wasn't in a hurry to hand it over. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The work continued the next morning, as it always did. And that was exactly where I belonged. If you've ever had to set boundaries with family and rebuild on your own terms, drop a comment below. Type quiet success if you know what it feels like to do the work without recognition. We're all building better lives, one decision at a time. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today.